Sometimes, the most touching stories are not about grand adventures or extraordinary moments, but about the quiet persistence of ordinary love. Saki's life was one such story. For 10 years, she had been a devoted wife, someone who believed that love could be built from the warmth of a dinner table and the comfort of a familiar home. Every evening, she carefully prepared hot meals, timing everything so that the soup would still steam when her husband walked through the door. But lately, the rhythm had changed. Her husband had been coming home later and later, explaining that he had meetings or dinners with colleagues. Saki didn't complain. She understood that work could be demanding, but inside, a quiet ache began to grow. At the age of 30, Saki began to feel that her life was somewhat monotonous and stressful. To find joy again, she decided to apply for a part-time job at a small store near her home. The first few days were awkward. She stumbled over simple tasks, felt nervous around strangers, and went home exhausted. But there was also something else, a flicker of satisfaction she hadn't felt in years. For the first time in a long while, she wasn't just waiting. She was participating. As the days passed, she began to notice things she hadn't before. The sound of the city waking up in the morning, the kindness in people's small gestures, a customer thanking her, a colleague offering her tea during a break. These tiny moments began to weave a new kind of happiness, one that didn't depend on anyone else's actions. At night, when her husband came home late, Saki no longer felt only disappointment. She understood now, the exhaustion in his eyes, the pressure behind his long hours. She saw not neglect, but effort. And in understanding him, she also started understanding herself. Her world hadn't changed overnight, but her perspective had, through her decision to step outside and rediscover her own rhythm. Saki had unknowingly begun rebuilding her sense of identity, not as someone's wife, but as a person with her own dreams, challenges, and quiet triumphs. Life is never just one thing. It is a mixture of devotion and independence, of giving and rediscovering. Sometimes, the act of stepping forward doesn't mean leaving something behind. It means learning to carry it differently. And that's what Saki was doing. One small step at a time, learning to be both, a devoted wife and a fulfilled individual. When Saki first started her new job, she never imagined how much a small store could change her view of life. It wasn't glamorous or high-paying, but it was real, filled with people, stories, and gentle surprises that reminded her what connection truly meant. Each morning, she arrived early to open the shop. The moment she slid the door open, the bell chimed softly, a sound that came to symbolize a new beginning. The shelves smelled faintly of fresh packaging and polished wood. It was simple, but to Saki, it felt alive. Her co-workers were a mix of personalities. There was Aya, a university student with a laugh that filled the room, and Mr. Tanaka, a quiet man in his 50s who always hummed old songs while arranging boxes. They didn't know much about Saki at first, but her politeness and dedication quickly earned their respect. Customers came and went throughout the day, parents with small children, elderly neighbors, workers stopping by after their shifts. Some chatted for a few minutes. Others just smiled as they paid. Saki realized that everyone carried a story, and each small interaction added color to her once monochrome routine. It was in these tiny, unspoken gestures that she found meaning again, the kind of meaning she once thought only came from being needed at home. After a few weeks, Saki's energy began to change. She smiled more easily, spoke with more confidence, and even caught herself humming while preparing dinner. Though her husband was still often away, the silence in their home no longer felt heavy. Instead, it became a space she filled with quiet gratitude. Gratitude for work, for people, for her own courage to start anew. She also noticed how her conversations with her husband began to shift. When he came home, she didn't ask why he was late or complain about being alone. Instead, she shared stories from her day about the friendly regulars, the funny mistakes she made while learning the cash register, or the kind words from her manager. Saki realized that by stepping out of the house and rediscovering herself, she had also unknowingly created space for their relationship to breathe again. The pressure that once lingered between them softened into mutual understanding. There was a lightness in her heart that hadn't been there for a long time. It wasn't about escaping her old life, it was about expanding it. Her life still had imperfections. There were still lonely nights, still moments of tiredness. But now, there was also balance, a sense that she was not defined only by what was missing, but by what she was building. Through this new rhythm, Saki discovered that fulfillment doesn't always come from big achievements. Sometimes it blooms quietly in small acts of kindness, in laughter shared with strangers, and in the courage to start over. Life has a way of testing us just when we start to find peace again. For Saki, that test came quietly, not as a major event, but as a subtle shift in the air around her. The store grew busier as the weeks went by. One evening, after a long day at work, she returned home to find the city lights already on and the dining table empty, just like before. Her husband said, "Work late. Don't stay up late." For a moment, the old pain came flooding back, the pain she thought she had gotten over. She stood there, staring at him. But this time, she didn't cry or feel bitter. She just sighed and whispered, "He must be tired too." Still, part of her couldn't help but wonder, had anything truly changed? She had grown stronger, yes, but the distance between them felt like an invisible wall, not out of anger, but from two people caught in different rhythms. The next few days were restless. At work, Saki smiled as usual, but inside she felt uncertain. Was she really moving forward, or just finding new ways to distract herself? Her manager noticed her quietness and gently asked if something was wrong. Saki hesitated, then admitted, "Sometimes I feel like no matter what I do, I'm still stuck." The manager nodded knowingly. "Growth isn't always easy to see, Saki," he said. "Sometimes it's happening inside you quietly, patiently, even when no one else sees it." The words echoed in her ears. She thought of a place where she and her husband had walked so many years ago. A beautiful park. For the first time, she allowed herself to think not of what she had lost, but of what she still had. Her love, her health, her purpose in life, and the courage to change. Later that evening, when she returned home, her husband was waiting. His eyes looked tired, but softer than before. "You weren't home," he said gently. "I was worried." Something in his voice startled her. It wasn't annoyance, it was care. They sat together at the table, and for a long time, neither spoke. Then he quietly admitted, "I know I've been distant lately. I've been so focused on work that I forgot what really matters. You've changed lately. You seem happier, stronger. I want to understand that version of you too. It wasn't a grand confession or a dramatic reconciliation. Just an honest moment between two people who had finally stopped pretending everything was fine. Saki smiled softly. We're both learning, she said. And maybe that's what matters most. Everything looked brighter, not because the world had changed, but because she had. She understood now that happiness isn't a single destination. It's a journey built from small, patient steps. Sometimes, healing comes not from fixing what's broken, but from learning to see beauty in the cracks, the places where light enters and teaches us how to begin again. Her journey teaches us that renewal isn't about changing who we are, but remembering who we've always been, strong, compassionate, and beautifully human. This heartwarming story reminds us that fulfillment isn't found in perfection, but in growth, in learning to find happiness within ourselves and compassion for those we love. Share your thoughts below. What small joy brings peace to your daily life?